And speaking of recognizing the true, the good, and the beautiful, Donald Trump just shocked every single person on the planet by announcing his Middle East policy, especially in terms of Gaza, that he actually intends to make this a U.S. territory. Here's him talking about it.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
So does Donald Trump actually intend to make Gaza a territory of the United States? And maybe a bigger question, can he even do anything like this? This is one of the amazing things about having Donald Trump as president that even you leftists have to agree with. The guy is entertaining, a mile a minute, and he's always doing something. So let's step back for a moment and just ask, can Donald Trump actually make Gaza a territory of the United States and do all the things that he's talking about right now? And I think the answer to that, as far as I can tell, and this is one of the good things about striking while the iron's hot, is that there's not a lot of information, so I don't have to dig too much through it, to just say that maybe he can do it. I'm not entirely sure that he actually can, that the United States has a legal right to go in after a war and then claim Gaza as its own, but it would be the most Donald Trump thing on the planet to go ahead and just plant an American flag in the middle of all of that. But even if you somehow object to this because you believe that America needs to get away from its neo-colonial racist past and that we shouldn't go in and help these people who are truly struggling and will continue to struggle if we don't do anything about that. May I remind you that Donald Trump's kind of business strategy, and remember he is a businessman, is one of maybe like an ancient barbarian. Like he's berserker mode, and he kind of just goes in and suggests things that he may not necessarily have the ability to do. Now, a lot of people who hate Donald Trump and are blinded by Trump derangement syndrome will call this dumb, but actually think there's a bit of brilliance behind this, that he may just be saying something to get a reaction from opponents, and maybe he's just spouting off good ideas. I mean, it could just be a huge good idea. I don't know. All that to say that there could be some strategy underneath all of this. So don't forget typical Trump in the midst of this. But underneath it is a moral question, which is what we really try to get to here at Indie Thinker, because whenever we talk about foreign policy, whenever we talk about laws, we think to ourselves, well, what we would desire is a more moral and good society. And of course, I argue on the show all the time in order to achieve that end, you need to draw from Christian scripture and from Christian virtue. So the real question is, should he do it? If he can do it? And again, that's still questionable. And I think the answer is yes. So this doesn't mean that he's displacing the people there and getting rid of all Palestinians. No. And Donald Trump says this much. It just means that this place has been devastated and is in a difficult spot. But there's also an implicit, if not explicit, admission here that now it's in disarray as a result of what Israel has done, yes, but because Hamas has been totally eliminated from this place, and now there is no political leadership here in the Gaza Strip. So therefore, there's unrest, and there needs to be some stability brought to the nation. For all of you Free Palestine protesters out there, let me assure you, Palestine is free now, but that doesn't mean it will remain free. There will be other Muslim terrorist organizations who come in to fill the void if somebody doesn't take action. So for all of those isolationists out there, let me remind you that we still are a nation that at our core have a desire to make the world a better place through the American experiment. And Donald Trump clearly isn't a pure isolationist. I do believe in America first, but I also believe if we have the opportunity to keep Muslims from going into a place, terrorizing Christians, and continuing to persecute Jews, that perhaps maybe we should think about possibly doing that and doing it for the sake of the Palestinian people. Because bringing stability to that region is an absolute beautiful thing. We'll get back to the show in just a moment, but today's show is sponsored by our friends over at Sweet and Savory Classroom. This online and in-person cooking experience is a great date night idea, and Valentine's Day is right around the corner. So fellas, if you want to make your wife happy, if you want to have a great meal and have a great fun, entertaining night and combine those two things while saving a little bit of money, then you need to check out sweetandsavoryclassroom.com, where you can check out all the great opportunities and classes that they have coming up. And even if you're not in the Sweet and Savory area, you can book online classes that will be great educational experiences for the whole family. So go to sweetandsavoryclassroom.com to see all the things they have to offer. And when you check out, use the promo code IndieThinker for a discount on your next order. But Donald Trump doesn't want to just bring stability to it. He's even suggesting that perhaps he's going to make the Gaza Strip the Riviera of the Middle East. Check it out.
Where exactly are you suggesting that they should go? And two, are you saying they should return after it's rebuilt? And if not, who do you envision living there?
I envision a world, people living there, the world's people. I think you'll make that into an international, unbelievable place. I think the potential in the Gaza Strip is unbelievable. And I think the entire world, representatives from all over the world will be there, and they'll live there. Palestinians also. Palestinians will live there. Many people will live there. But they've tried the other, and they've tried it for decades and decades and decades. It's not going to work. It didn't work. It will never work. And you have to learn from history. History has, you just can't let it keep repeating itself. We have an opportunity to do something that could be phenomenal. And I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad. This could be so magnificent. But more importantly than that is the people that have been absolutely destroyed that live there now can live in peace in a much better situation, because they're living in hell.
Now, I have to tell you, I'm very surprised that in the aftermath of this, leftists aren't totally freaking out. And I think it's just because of Donald Trump's berserker strategy. I think that they're so disoriented by the suggestion that we may go in and turn the Gaza Strip into the French Riviera that people don't know what to think about this. But trust me, they will come out and find some way to figure out how this is a bad thing, where I think it's an objectively good thing if you can bring stability to the region and make this place that was once controlled by a horrible terrorist organization actually a place of prosperity and peace. So even the leftist out there, if Donald Trump keeps on doing these kind of things, has to sit back and appreciate it. I mean, Donald Trump thus far has been the most pro-life president, I think, in American history. I think it's fair to say that in terms of rolling back policies that end the life of innocent human beings, protecting those pro-life activists who were just expressing their First Amendment right, and more. I think Donald Trump is clearly the most pro-life president in American history, which is so crazy still to say. But then he's secured our border, and he's, through using the power of tariffs, or at least the stick and the carrot of tariffs, he's agreed with Canada and Mexico about making sure that they secure their side of the border and we secure our side of the border. Recruiting for the military has skyrocketed since Donald Trump took back over. He is creating a fiscally responsible government that isn't spending tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands on trans musicals across the globe. I'm sure you've probably seen the ridiculous list that USAID has been funding. All that to say, he's also peeling back control of China and the Panama Canal, and perhaps in other places. He's reestablished working relationships with our allies. And if he then, after all of that, within just a couple of weeks of being in office, returns Gaza into a place of prosperity, then I think you have to say that Donald Trump is one of the most seminal figures in American history, certainly over the last 100 years. But you can rest assured that Democrats probably won't admit that because they are so blinded by hate. And this is where I have to wax a little bit spiritual here and come to a question that I think undergirds all of this, and that Donald Trump makes us ask constantly. What does it take to actually change? What does it take to actually shift your opinion about somebody? Again, if Donald Trump takes the Gaza in its current state, reduced to rubble, and helps the people of Palestine actually experience freedom for the first time in their lives, this is going to be something that, of course, will be incredibly controversial, but undeniably will be a good for the world and for those people. And still there are people who will be so blinded by their hatred for Donald Trump that they can't see any silver lining in any of the things that he's done. So what does it take for us to actually change? And I'm going to argue that the thing that we need to actually change our perspective and change our thinking and to break out of our echo chambers is God. And without him, we won't. The best explanation for this that I can think of is the idea of secularism. There is no more committed, ideologically foolish worldview than that of secularism. And here's why I say that. It is akin to kind of like a mythological perspective, a fairy tale of sorts, because it rests purely on conjecture in terms of the origin of life and the origin of the universe. It is merely faith perspectives based on minimal, if any, evidence whatsoever. How the world began and how life began and how we are here. Conscious beings who are meaning-seeking beings and moral agents. How did that come from evolution? The secularists cannot tell you that whatsoever. And more importantly, they are an anti-intellectual movement in the sense that they are committed to militating against religion or religious ideas. Even if those ideas aren't necessarily true, they will still militate against them even if they are beneficial to society, as Christianity has been to the West, because they are so dogmatically blinded by their hate. And what are they hating? Well, of course, they're hating God, or any vestige of God, or any beliefs about God. They will pull the Jenga block of religion outside of Western civilization without a single care of what will happen if that Jenga tower comes tumbling down once you remove that fundamental building block. All of that is a blind ideology predicated upon hate, and in particular, hate of the one thing that can objectively, if true, truly change your heart and your mind. In other words, I'm saying this: if you find God, you can truly find change.
So you just got done watching a small excerpt of a much larger episode. You can find the link to that full episode down below in the description of this video. So you definitely want to check that out, because if you like that clip, you'll like the much larger episode. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click that little bell to be notified when great new episodes of Indie Thinker come your way. Thanks for watching.